Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a question for you, a personal one.
Oh, okay.
You know that recurring nightmare scenario, the one where you show up to a final exam for a college class you completely forgot you were enrolled in?
Oh, yes. The classic anxiety dream.
Right. You don't have a pen, you haven't read any of the books, and you might not even be wearing pants.
I think pretty much everyone has had some version of that dream. It's universal.
It is. Well, I think in the professional world, there's a very real waking version of that nightmare.
Okay, I'm listening.
It happens when you step into a boardroom. Maybe it's a strategy session, maybe it's a high-stakes negotiation. You are thankfully fully clothed,
That's a good start.
but you sit down and someone across the table, and it's usually someone with a C-suite title or a very expensive consultant suit, they lean forward and they just drop a sentence that freezes you.
Ah, I know this sentence. Something like, in light of the recent volatility, we need to leverage our core competencies to facilitate a paradigm shift in the organizational ecosystem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Hmm?
And in a split second, two things happen.
Mm-hmm.
First, your brain just scrambles to translate. I mean, you know what leverage means, you know what ecosystem means,
Sure, individually.
but the way they strung them all together,
Huh.
it sounds like a secret code.
Hmm.
And the second thing that happens is the insecurity.
Yeah.
You feel small. You feel like if you open your mouth and just use, regular English, you're going to sound like a child sitting at the grown-ups table.
It's linguistic gatekeeping. That's effectively what's happening in those moments.
Gatekeeping, that's a good word for it.
It is. It's a way of signaling status. When someone speaks that, let's call it the business consultant dialect.
Right.
They aren't just communicating information. They're signaling, I belong in this room. I understand the unwritten rules of this game.
And that is exactly why we wanted to do this deep dive today. We have a stack of sources here, all of them focused on advanced business English phrases for confident conversation.
A very important topic.
But I want to be really clear about the mission here, right off the bat. We are not trying to turn you, our listeners, into corporate robots.
Please don't.
I don't want people walking around saying synergy every 3 seconds just to, sound smart.
That actually backfires. It really does. If you just throw around jargon without understanding the nuance, or if you use it to cover up the fact that you don't really know what you're talking about, you actually damage your credibility. The source material we're looking at today emphasizes 3 things: professional credibility, clarity, and confidence. It's all about precision.
Precision is the key. It's not about using big words to confuse people.
Mm-hmm.
It's about using specific words to frame a problem in a way that makes you look like the leader in the room.
Exactly. It is the difference between saying we need to fix this and saying we need to mitigate this risk.
Okay, explain that.
Well, one sounds like a complaint, we need to fix this. The other, mitigate this risk. It sounds like a strategy.
I see. So here's our approach for this deep dive. We are not going to read a dictionary.
Thank goodness.
That would be a terrible show. And frankly, I would fall asleep. Instead, we have organized all of these phrases into scenarios. We're going to mentally walk through the headquarters of a hypothetical high-performing company.
I like that framework. It's smart. Because different rooms require different dialects, different ways of speaking.
What do you mean?
You don't speak operations language in a marketing meeting. You just don't. If you do, you'll lose the room in about 5 minutes.
Okay, so we're going to start in what we're calling the war room, which is all about strategy and crisis management.
High stakes.
Then we'll move to the future lab for innovation and tech. We'll visit the engine room for the nitty-gritty of operations.
Getting it done.
Look at the human connection when it comes to culture. And finally, check out the view from the sales floor in the market.
And I am ready to explain the nuance. Because there is a reason these words exist, even the annoying ones.
Okay, let's do it. Let's push open the heavy oak doors and step into the war room. The lighting is low. The coffee is probably stale. The charts on the wall are all trending down.
The pressure is on.
This is where high-level decision-making happens, usually involving a lot of money and a lot of uncertainty.
Right. And the language of the war room it's distinct. It's designed to do one very specific thing. Remove emotion.
Remove emotion.
Yes. When you're losing money or a competitor is, eating your lunch, The natural human reaction is panic.
Of course.
The language of the war room is designed to chemically neutralize that panic.
Okay, so let's look at our first key phrase from the source material. It deals with exactly that situation when things are going wrong in the market. The phrase is, in light of the recent market volatility, we should reconsider our investment strategies.
A classic opener, a perfect example. Let's break it down.
Okay.
The key part here is that opening. In light of, it's such a powerful and professional transition.
Yeah. But is there really a difference between that and just saying, because? Because the market is crazy, we need to change.
There's a huge difference, a huge psychological difference. Because feels reactive.
Reactive.
Yeah, it feels emotional. We are changing our plans because the market crashed. That sounds like the market did something to you and now you're just scrambling. It frames you as the victim.
Right. Poor us. The market happened to us.
Exactly. But in light of puts you above the fray. It puts you in control. It implies that you have observed the situation, you've analyzed the data, and you are now making a calculated pivot based on new information, new illumination.
So it reclaims agency.
Yeah.
You aren't running away from a problem. You are calmly adjusting your course based on new data.
Precisely. And then there's that word you use, volatility.
Volatility. It just, it sounds expensive, doesn't it?
It does. But again, it serves a real psychological purpose.
Okay.
If you say the market is bad or the market is crazy, that's a judgment. It's subjective. And it sounds like you're panicking.
Right. It's an opinion.
It's an opinion. Volatility, on the other hand, is a statistical observation. It refers to rapid and unpredictable change, specifically the range of variance in price. If you say market volatility, you are stating a fact. You sound like a quantitative analyst, not like a victim.
So you're in the war room. The market is bouncing up and down like crazy. You don't panic. You lean forward and say, in light of recent volatility.
I love that. It immediately just lowers the temperature in the room.
It signals that you are in control of your emotions. You are telling the board, I'm not afraid of this movement. I'm just measuring it.
Okay, so now you've acknowledged the problem with that cool, detached demeanor. You need to talk about the future. You can't just look at today.
No, that's just firefighting.
And this brings us to a pair of phrases from our source that are all about foresight and risks. The first one is, strategic foresight in business planning is essential to navigate through uncertain economic climates.
And the second one, which I think pairs perfectly with it, developing robust contingency plans is essential to mitigate risks associated with market fluctuations.
These are heavy hitters. Let's look at that first one, strategic foresight.
Okay.
This is how you distinguish yourself from someone who just puts out fires every day. A manager, a good manager, solves today's problems. A leader uses strategic foresight to solve next year's problems before they even happen.
And that leads right into contingency plans. Now, be honest with me here. Is contingency plan just a fancy corporate way of saying plan B?
No. And this is a hill I will die on.
Okay.
Plan B is what you do when plan A fails. It implies that plan A was the real plan and plan B is, well, it's the disappointment. It has the stench of failure all over it.
That's fair. Nobody ever gets excited about moving to plan B.
Exactly. A contingency plan is completely different. It is a deliberate, pre-designed response to a specific, pre-identified trigger.
So it's not a backup.
It is not a backup. It's a parallel strategy. You say, if interest rates hit 5%, we execute contingency protocol alpha. It's unemotional. It's a script you've already written, so you don't have to think when the crisis actually hits.
I see. So plan B is scrambling. Contingency is architecture. You've already built the response.
Yes. And look at the verb that's used in that second phrase you read, mitigate.
Mitigate. That is a word I hear constantly.
Yeah.
We need to mitigate the risks. Again, I have to play the skeptic. Why not just say fix or avoid? We need to fix the risk.
Because you often can't avoid risks in business. If you're in business, you're taking risks. I mean, that is the definition of the game.
True.
And fixing implies the problem is completely solvable. And in high-level strategy, most big problems aren't solvable in that way. You can't fix a recession.
Right.
You can't fix a geopolitical conflict that disrupts your supply chain. If you promise to fix it, you're basically lying.
You're setting yourself up to fail from the start.
Right. But you can mitigate the impact. It's a very precise engineering term.
How so?
If you build a skyscraper in an earthquake zone, you don't fix the earthquake. You put shock absorbers in the foundation to mitigate the shaking. You accept the risk exists, but you build a system around it to reduce the severity of the impact.
That is a much more mature way of looking at it. It shifts the expectation from hero who saves the day to architect who protects the house.
Precisely. So in the war room, we aren't running away. We are utilizing strategic foresight to develop robust contingency plans that will mitigate risk.
I feel smarter just saying that sentence. Okay, so we've handled the scary stuff. Now we need to talk about how we're actually going to win.
The offensive strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This brings us to a phrase about growth. The source gives us this. We need to capitalize on our core competencies to drive sustainable growth moving forward.
Core competencies. This is a term that got maybe a little overused in the 90s, but it remains the absolute gold standard in strategy.
But what does it actually mean? Is it just what we're good at?
It's deeper than that. A skill is something you can do. A core competency is something you do better than almost anyone else, and it gives you a distinct competitive advantage. It's the DNA of your company.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. If you're a logistics company, driving trucks is not a core competency. Anyone can hire people to drive trucks. But optimizing route efficiency through a proprietary data algorithm, that might be a core competency.
Ah, I see. So when you say we need to capitalize on our core competencies, you're really saying, let's stop trying to be everything to everyone. Let's stop chasing every shiny new object and focus on our superpowers.
Exactly. It's a discipline phrase. It's a phrase you use to kill bad ideas. When someone suggests opening a coffee shop inside your software company, you can say, that doesn't align with our core competencies.
And look at the goal in that phrase, sustainable growth, not fast growth, not explosive growth.
In the war room, the adults in the room care about sustainability. Can we keep doing this for 10 years? Fast growth that burns everyone out and destroys the product quality is not success. It's a firework. It's spectacular, and then it's gone. Sustainable growth is an engine.
Okay, one last phrase for the war room. Sometimes strategy isn't about buying new things or building new things. Sometimes it's about getting rid of things.
The hard part.
The source phrase is, we should consider strategic divestitures to optimize our asset portfolio.
This is the polite, sophisticated, unemotional way of saying we need to sell off the parts of the business that are losing money or no longer fit.
Divestiture. It sounds so much nicer than selling the furniture or firing an entire division.
It does. It implies a surgical removal for the health of the host organism. You aren't losing a division. You are optimizing your asset portfolio. It reframes a contraction as a strengthening move.
That really is the magic of these phrases, isn't it? They reframe reality into something manageable, something strategic. Okay, let's leave the dark, wood-paneled war room. We're walking down the hall, the carpet changes to polished concrete. Everyone is suddenly wearing all birds, and there's a lot of glass. We are entering the future lab.
I can almost smell the kombucha on tap. This is where we talk innovation, tech, and transformation.
Right.
The vocabulary has to shift from stability and control to agility and speed. You need words that imply movement.
And also, I think, words that can be incredibly annoying if you use them wrong. This is where we hit the heavy hitters of business bingo.
Oh, yes.
The first one is one of the most common verbs in modern business. Our strategic planning session will focus on leveraging emerging technologies to enhance efficiency.
Leveraging.
Please, tell me why I shouldn't just say use. We're going to use new technology. Why do I have to leverage it? Is it just to sound fancy?
80% of the time, yes. It's just to sound fancy.
Oh, I knew it.
If you say, I'm going to leverage my stapler, you just sound ridiculous. You're just using it.
I'm going to leverage my coffee shop to deliver caffeine directly to my mouth.
Exactly. But, and this is important, there is a 20% slice where leverage is the only correct word.
Okay, I'm skeptical, but go on.
Think about physics. Think about Archimedes. Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world.
Right. A lever allows a small input of force to move a massive object. It's a multiplier.
It is a multiplier. And in business, you should only use the word leverage when you are describing that multiplier effect.
Okay, give me a business example.
If you have a database of 1 million customer emails, that's an asset. If you use that list to launch a new product to 1 million people without spending $1 on ads, you are leveraging that asset. You're getting a massive output for a tiny input because of something you already own.
That makes perfect sense. So using is 1-to-1. I spend an hour, I get an hour of work back. Leveraging is 1-to-10 or 1-to-1,000,000.
Exactly. So in the Future Lab, when we talk about leveraging AI, we aren't just saying, have ChatGPT write an email for us. We mean building a system where AI multiplies the output of 1 employee to do the work of 10. That is leverage.
Okay, I will begrudgingly accept leverage into my active vocabulary, but only for that very specific scenario.
A wise choice.
Now, speaking of big changes, let's look at the environment these changes happen in. The source phrase is, by embracing digital transformation, we can create a more interconnected and efficient organizational ecosystem.
Two massive buzzwords in one sentence: digital transformation and ecosystem.
Let's tackle ecosystem first. We aren't in a rainforest. Why are we talking about ecosystems in an office building?
Because it represents a huge shift in mindset. In the old industrial age, you thought of a company as a machine. It had parts, gears, pistons. You could swap one out.
Right, very mechanical.
Now we think of it as biology, as an organism. Everything is connected. Your sales data connects to your supply chain, which connects to your customer service team, which connects to R&D. It's a living, breathing system.
So if you change one thing, it affects everything else, sometimes in unpredictable ways.
Precisely. If you introduce a new predator or a new piece of software, it can change the balance of the whole forest. That's an ecosystem.
And digital transformation is the process of evolving that organism.
Evolving, yes. It's not just buying new computers or installing new software. It's changing how the organism thinks and behaves using digital tools at its core.
It sounds grand. It sounds like a journey rather than just a task you can check off a list.
It is a journey, and that's why the phrase uses a word like embracing. You don't install a transformation, you embrace it. It's a cultural shift.
Now, you cannot talk about the future right now without talking about AI.
Impossible.
And the source has a few really interesting phrases here. One is, the integration of artificial intelligence into our systems requires careful consideration of ethical implications. And another, our next strategic phase involves exploring synergies between artificial intelligence and human creativity.
Synergies.
The big one. I know what you're thinking. This is the ultimate villain of business vocabulary. It's the Nickelback of corporate speak.
It does get a lot of hate, that's for sure.
It does. Because people use it to just mean working together. Or worse, they use it as a euphemism for, we're merging two departments so we can fire half the accountants.
And historically, that was often the case. But if we strip away all that corporate baggage and just look at the actual definition, it's a beautiful and powerful concept.
Okay, redeem synergy for me.
True synergy has a mathematical definition. It means that the combined effect of two things is greater than the sum of their individual effects. 1 + 1 = 3.
So in this context, AI plus a human isn't just an AI doing a task and a human doing a task side by side.
Exactly right. AI alone hallucinates and just processes data without context. Humans alone are slow and full of biases. But AI plus a human isn't just faster work, it can be a different kind of work. You can solve problems that neither one could solve alone. That is a true synergy.
So if I'm going to use it, I need to be able to defend it. I can't just say we need more synergies. I need to be able to explain exactly how X plus Y is going to create Z.
Precisely. Use it as a mathematical equation, not as a throwaway buzzword.
I also want to go back to that first phrase you read about ethical implications.
Yes, that one felt very grounded compared to the others, almost like a warning.
It shows maturity.
Yeah.
In the Future Lab, it's so easy to get carried away with what we can do. A true leader stops and asks what we should do. Using a phrase like careful consideration of ethical implications shows you aren't just chasing the shiny new toy. You are thinking about the impact on people, on society. It makes you look responsible and wise.
It's a necessary brake pedal on the innovation accelerator.
One more phrase for the Future Lab, and this one is absolutely crucial for anyone in the startup world or working with new products. The scalability of our technological infrastructure is crucial for handling increased transaction volumes seamlessly.
Scalability, the holy grail of tech.
Give us the simple, plain English definition.
Scalability is the ability to grow without breaking. That's it.
Grow without breaking.
If you have a process that works beautifully for 10 customers, but it completely falls apart and catches fire when you have 100 customers, it is not scalable.
So if I'm a baker and I'm manually writing personalized thank you notes to every single customer, that is not a scalable process.
Exactly. It's a nice gesture, but it has zero scalability. The moment you get popular, your business dies because you can't keep up. In the Future Lab, everyone is obsessed with building systems that can handle 10 users, 10,000 users, or 10 million users with the same basic structure.
So when I'm in a meeting and I ask, is this solution scalable? What I'm really asking is, Will this blow up in our faces if we actually get successful?
That is the essential multi-million-dollar question.
All right, let's leave the shiny glass-walled future lab and go down to the basement. Or maybe it's the factory floor. We are entering the engine room.
My favorite room.
This is operations, efficiency, and getting it done.
This is where the magic happens. Strategy is just dreaming. Operations is doing. The language here is sharper, harder, and much more urgent.
And the king of all words in the engine room appears in our first phrase from the source. It is imperative that we streamline our operations to remain competitive in this sector.
Two incredibly powerful words in there. Imperative and streamline.
Let's start with imperative. It sounds so intense, so final.
It comes from the Latin word for emperor. It is a command. In the engine room, suggestions and nice ideas don't work. You don't say, it would be cool if we stopped wasting so much money. You say, it is imperative that we streamline. It signals that the survival of the entity is at stake. It's a word designed to cut through all the noise and excuses.
And streamline. To me, that word brings up an image of aerodynamics. A streamlined car or a bullet train.
That's the perfect image to have in your head. Operations is all about flow. Friction is the enemy.
Christian, right?
Streamlining isn't just cutting. Cutting can be bad. You can cut muscle along with the fat. Streamlining is about removing the drag, the unnecessary steps, the double handling of paperwork, the waiting time between processes. You are shaping the business to move through the market with the least amount of resistance.
Okay, so we've decided it's imperative to streamline. But how do we know what to fix? Where do we start?
An excellent question.
That leads to our next phrase. Our team is focused on developing solutions that address the root causes of inefficiencies. And there's another one. We must scrutinize all operational aspects to identify inefficiencies.
Root causes versus symptoms. This is the core difference between a great operations manager and a mediocre one.
It's like being a doctor versus just handing out painkillers.
That's a perfect analogy. If a patient comes in coughing, giving them cough syrup is addressing the symptom. Finding the infection in their lungs is addressing the root cause.
And in business, we spend so much time just treating symptoms, don't we?
Constantly. Sales are down, so we need to make more cold calls. That's treating the symptom. A root cause analysis asks why sales are down.
Right.
Why? Because our product is breaking. Why is it breaking? Because our main supplier changed the metal they use. Why did they do that? You keep asking why until you find the single original root of the problem.
And that word scrutinize, that sounds really intense.
It is. To scrutinize means to examine with extreme critical care. You don't glance at the budget. You don't look over the process. You scrutinize it. It implies a level of rigor. In the engine room, you can't be casual. You have to scrutinize the data to find the root causes.
Okay, moving on to the actual nuts and bolts of moving things around. Supply chains.
A topic on everyone's mind these days.
The phrase is, by optimizing our supply chain logistics, we can achieve greater efficiency and lower costs. And then there's this deeper one that I really want to unpack. Leveraging vertical integration can significantly reduce costs and increase control.
Vertical integration. This is a heavy, classic business concept. It's sort of the nuclear option of operations strategy.
Explain it to us like we're 5.
Vertical integration means you stop buying the parts for your product from other people and you start making the parts yourself. You own more of the supply chain.
Okay.
Imagine a coffee shop. Usually they buy their roasted coffee beans from a supplier. Vertical integration is if the coffee shop buys the coffee farm in Colombia.
So you aren't relying on a supplier anymore. You are the supplier.
You are the supplier. It's like Netflix deciding to make its own TV shows instead of just licensing them from studios like NBC or Disney.
So why is this a phrase we need to have in our toolkit?
Because it represents the ultimate trade-off in business. Control versus cost and complexity. When you propose vertical integration in a meeting, you are saying, I want total control over our quality and delivery schedule, and I'm willing to take on a massive amount of complexity to get it. It's a huge strategic flex.
Can I notice the word optimizing in that first phrase, optimizing our supply chain? Again, better than just saying improve.
Much better. Improve means getting better than we were yesterday. Optimize means getting as close to perfect as mathematically possible. It means finding the best possible state.
I love the ambition of that word.
We aren't just getting better. We are actively seeking the peak, the most efficient state.
Finally, for the engine room, we have to talk about the rules. The phrase is, to ensure compliance, all team members must be familiar with the new regulatory standards. And also, The implementation of robust quality control measures is imperative.
Compliance is a very stark word. It's binary. You are either compliant or you are in very big trouble. There's no middle ground. But the word I want to highlight there is robust.
I hear robust used for everything. Robust coffee, a robust debate, a robust wine. What on earth is a robust quality control measure?
In engineering and systems design, robust has a very specific meaning. It means the system can handle stress, unexpected inputs, and shocks without failing.
Okay.
A delicate, fragile system breaks if you just poke it the wrong way. A robust system takes a big hit and keeps working. It's anti-fragile. When you say, we need a robust plan, you are saying, I want a plan that won't fall apart the moment something unexpected goes wrong.
So robust is the house made of bricks, not the one made of straw.
That is exactly it.
Okay, we have our strategy from the war room, our tech from the future lab, and our operations are humming in the engine room. But none of this works without people.
The most important and most complicated part.
Let's enter the human connection. This section is all about culture, collaboration, and ethics.
And this is where business language has changed the most in the last 10 or 20 years. It used to be very command and control. Do this because I'm the boss.
Right.
Now it's all about influence, engagement, and alignment.
And the first phrase from our source focuses on all the people who matter to a project. Engaging with stakeholders early on will facilitate a smoother implementation of the plan.
Stakeholders. That word is absolutely crucial. A stakeholder is not just a shareholder.
Okay, what is the difference?
A shareholder owns stock in the company. They care primarily about profit. A stakeholder is anyone who has a stake in the outcome of your project. Anyone. It could be the employees who have to use the new system, the customers whose experience will change, the community living next to the factory you're building, or the government regulators.
So if I'm building a new office downtown, the neighbors who have to deal with the construction noise are stakeholders.
Absolutely. And if you don't engage them, which means talk to them, listen to their concerns, they can tie up your project in protests and legal challenges for years. And look at that verb the phrase uses, facilitate.
Facilitate.
Right.
I know this one. It means to make easy.
Yes. It comes from the French word facile, which means easy or simple. A leader's job often isn't to do all the work, but to facilitate the work for others, to clear the path. Facilitating a smoother implementation creates this beautiful image of you removing obstacles from the road so your team can drive forward without friction. You are the snowplow.
That's a great leadership mindset. You are the snowplow clearing the road for the team.
I think so.
Now, let's talk about how the team actually works together. We have a few phrases here about collaboration. Collaboration between departments is crucial. And this one. By fostering interdisciplinary collaboration, we can unlock potential synergies.
There is our old friend synergy again, but this time it's paired with interdisciplinary. This phrase directly tackles the huge corporate problem of silos.
Silos, like on a farm, the big grain towers.
Exactly like that.
Yep.
Picture those tall, windowless green towers. In many companies, the marketing department sits in one tower, the engineering department sits in another, and the finance department sits in a third.
And they don't talk to each other.
They don't talk, they hoard information, they protect their own budget. That's a silo mentality.
And it kills companies.
It absolutely kills innovation. Interdisciplinary collaboration is the act of breaking down those silo walls. It's getting the engineer to have coffee with the marketer. That's where the best ideas happen, in the space between the disciplines. And the phrase uses the word fostering.
Fostering. That's a very gentle, nurturing word.
It is. It's a parenting word. You foster a child, you foster growth. You can't force collaboration. You can't just stand up in a meeting and yell, collaborate,
Right.
and expect it to happen.
Right. That doesn't work.
You have to create the conditions for it to grow naturally. You have to foster it. It's a much softer, more sophisticated verb than just making people work together.
Speaking of nurturing, let's look at culture and diversity. The source gives us. We are committed to fostering an inclusive culture that supports diverse perspectives. And this one is key. Prioritizing employee well-being has proven to be a key driver of productivity.
This is the massive shift I mentioned earlier. Employee well-being used to be seen as a perk, like free snacks in the kitchen or a foosball table, something nice to have if the company could afford it.
An expense.
Exactly. An expense. Now, the modern language frames it as a key driver of productivity.
So it's linking the soft stuff, like how people feel, to the hard results, like how much money the company makes.
Precisely. When you speak this way, you are signaling that you understand the ROI, the return on investment of having happy, healthy, rested people. You aren't just being nice, you are being strategic. Burned out, stressed out people produce bad work. It's that simple.
And inclusive culture. That means creating a space where those diverse perspectives actually get heard, right? And it's not just about having a diverse team.
That's the critical distinction. Diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance.
Yeah.
An inclusive culture is one that actively seeks out and values different viewpoints. It's about not leaving good ideas on the table just because they came from the quiet person in the corner.
Finally, in the human connection section, we have the moral compass. An emphasis on corporate social responsibility, CSR, can not only improve our public image, but attract like-minded talent.
CSR, corporate social responsibility. This is the simple but powerful idea that a company is a citizen. It has duties and responsibilities to the society it operates in.
And I like how the phrase connects it directly to attracting talent. It's a practical argument saying, hey, doing good is actually a recruiting strategy.
It's the concept of the double bottom line, profit and purpose. Gen Z and millennial workers care about this deeply. When you can articulate that connection, you sound like a modern, forward-thinking leader who gets it.
Okay. We have one last room to visit in our hypothetical headquarters. We've been very internal so far, fixing our operations, our team, our tech. Now we need to look out the window at the world.
The real boss. The market.
Section 5 is the market and the customer. This is all about sales, marketing, and branding.
This is where we test all our internal assumptions against cold, hard reality.
The first phrase is about making sure we aren't just, completely delusional. I recommend we conduct a thorough market analysis before launching the new product line. And this one. A detailed feasibility study will help us understand the potential risks and benefits.
Feasibility study. I love this term because it's so practical. It asks one simple, brutal question. Can we actually do this?
It sounds so much more professional than, is this a crazy idea that's going to bankrupt us?
It does. Is this feasible? It looks at technical feasibility. Can our engineers actually build it? It looks at financial feasibility. Can we afford to build it? And will it make money? And it looks at legal feasibility. Are we going to get sued if we do this? It's the check engine light you look at before you start the car.
And market analysis? That's about looking at the terrain before you move.
Yeah.
You don't march your army into battle without a map.
A very good analogy.
Okay, so once we decide to go for it, we need to focus on the customer. The phrase is, building a customer-centric approach will significantly enhance client satisfaction and loyalty.
Customer-centric. This is a very important distinction. It's different from just having good customer service.
Okay, what's the difference?
Customer service is a department. It's the place that answers the phone when things go wrong. Customer-centric is a philosophy for the entire company.
A philosophy.
Yes. It means the customer is the sun and your entire company orbits around them.
That's a huge gravitational shift for some company.
It is. Every decision from product design to pricing to hiring starts with the question, how does this affect the customer? If you claim to be customer-centric, you better be ready to prove it with data and actions, not just words.
Finally, we have to talk about where we fit in the wider market. Our source gives us. We need to reevaluate our branding strategy to ensure it aligns with evolving consumer expectations. And adapting to consumer preferences quickly is key to staying relevant in a dynamic market.
Dynamic market. That is a very polite and professional way of saying everything is changing constantly and it's terrifying.
Dynamic sounds exciting and full of opportunity. Terrifying sounds.
Well, terrifying.
Exactly. And you mentioned market positioning earlier. This is crucial. Positioning is about answering the question, who are we compared to them, the competition?
Are we the cheap option, the luxury option, the fast option, the most reliable? And you can't be all of them. You have to choose. A robust competitor analysis helps you find an open space in the market. If everyone else is zigging, your best strategy might be to zag. That's positioning.
So asking what is our positioning in a meeting is really just a smart way of asking, why should anyone choose us over all the other options?
That is the ultimate question of capitalism right there.
We have covered a lot of ground. We've been to the war room, the future lab, the engine room. We've engaged with the humans, and we've analyzed the market.
It's a very comprehensive toolkit of phrases.
But here's the problem, and it's a big one. I can listen to this deep dive, nod my head, and think, yes, absolutely, I will use the word mitigate tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, I'm in the meeting, the pressure's on, and I freeze. I just go back to my old habits, my old simple words. How do we actually bridge that gap between knowing these words and owning them?
That is the hardest part. It really is. There is a huge gap between your passive vocabulary, it's all the words you understand when you hear them, and your active vocabulary, the words you actually use when you speak.
Right. I understand thousands of words I never actually say.
Everyone does. The goal is to move these powerful phrases from the I understand it bucket over to the I use it bucket.
The source material actually has a practice tip section that I think is brilliant in its simplicity. It suggests a daily routine.
Yes. It's the rule of 5. Do not try to memorize the entire dictionary. It's impossible and a waste of time. Just choose 5 phrases a day.
5 a day. And then what?
Step 1. Say them aloud. This sounds silly, but your mouth has muscle memory. If you've never actually said the phrase interdisciplinary collaboration out loud, you'll probably stumble over it in a high-pressure meeting. You have to get used to the rhythm of the syllables.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like rehearsing a line in a play. You want it to sound natural.
Step 2. Write one email sentence using each of the 5 phrases. This is a low-stakes way to practice. You have time to edit and get it right. Draft an email, look at it and think, can I swap fix for mitigate here? Can I swap talk to for engage with stakeholders?
That's a great way to ease into it. You aren't on the spot. You're not in front of people.
And then step 3, the challenge. Use at least one of your 5 phrases in a real live conversation, just one.
Just one.
Drop leverage into a chat with a colleague. Say you want to scrutinize a report. See how it feels. See how they react.
It's about building confidence incrementally, one word at a time.
Exactly. And there's a key insight that you mentioned in our notes, the idea of replacing the details.
Right. You don't have to memorize the exact sentence. In light of the recent market volatility, we should reconsider our investment strategies if you work in, say, human resources.
Correct. That sentence is useless to you. You take the structure of the sentence, the template. In light of problem, we should solution.
And then you plug in your own reality.
So if you're in HR, you say, in light of the recent employee turnover rates, we should reconsider our onboarding process.
Oh, that is powerful. So you're not memorizing lines, you're learning formulas. You steal the skeleton of the sentence and then you put your own meat on it.
That is fluency. That is mastery. When you can take the structure and apply it to any situation in your own field.
So it is imperative that we wear action in order to goal.
It is imperative that we update our security software in order to prevent data breaches.
Okay, how about we need to capitalize on our strength to drive benefit?
We need to capitalize on our strong brand reputation to drive customer loyalty.
I see how this works now. It's like Mad Libs for professionals.
High stakes Mad Libs. But yes, it provides you with a mental template. And when you're under pressure in a meeting, you don't have to invent a sentence structure from scratch. You just pull down the in light of template from your mental shelf and fill in the blanks. It reduces your cognitive load, which is what reduces anxiety.
And that brings us all the way back to the core mission that we started with an hour ago. Confidence.
Yes. The source material ends with a really powerful thought. Mastering advanced business English is not about memorizing difficult words. It is about using the right phrase at the right moment with confidence.
It's quality over quantity. You don't need to sound like a walking thesaurus. You just need to sound like you know exactly what you mean.
Clarity is king, and precision is the crown.
I want to leave our listeners with a provocative thought that came up on our source material. It mentioned that continuous professional development is vital for maintaining a competitive edge.
And that raises a really important question for everyone listening, I think.
If language is a tool for leadership, and I think we've proven today that it absolutely is, are you sharpening your tools? Or are you still using the same vocabulary you used 5 years ago, the same hammer for every single problem?
You know, we update our software constantly. We update our wardrobes. We update the apps on our phone every week. But we so rarely think about consciously updating our language.
Yeah.
And yet, your language is the primary interface you have with the professional world.
That is a haunting thought. My language is my interface. If your interface is clunky or it's outdated or it's low resolution, people aren't seeing your full value.
Exactly. You might have a supercomputer brain, but if your language interface is still Windows 95, people are going to treat you like a floppy disk.
That's harsh, but it's probably true.
So the question to ask yourself is this: how does the precision of your speech change how people perceive your competence? If you can articulate a problem with nuance and foresight and clarity, people will assume you can solve the problem with those same qualities.
So here's our challenge to you, the listener.
Huh?
Don't just let this deep dive wash over you and forget it. Pick one room.
Just one.
Maybe you need help in the war room, or maybe you need to polish up your language in the human connection. Go to the source material we discussed, pick your 5 phrases, and start leveraging them this week.
Streamline your communication. Mitigate your communication risks.
And drive sustainable growth in your own career.
I see what you did there.
I'm practicing. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the language of leadership.
It's been a real pleasure.
We'll see you next time. Until then, keep talking.
And keep listening.